Australia, a continent where the rules of predator and prey were rewritten by isolation across 50 million years. The animals here did not evolve alongside lions or wolves or bears. They evolved alongside each other, and what emerged is something the rest of the world never produced. A prey animal that fights back. A mother who will not surrender no matter what approaches from the sky. A creature that has turned the act of survival into something that looks, from the outside, almost like defiance. 5 stories, 1 animal. And in every single one of them, the outcome is not decided until the last possible moment. The question is not whether the kangaroo will survive. The question is how. And the answer is never the same twice. What you are about to see happens in Australia every day, in grasslands, in river country, in open plains, and eucalyptus woodland, between animals that have been running this particular calculation for millions of years. Watch carefully. The margins are small.
Animals Prime.
The dog has been chasing the kangaroo for 4 minutes, and it genuinely believes it has already won. The kangaroo is a large eastern gray male, Macropus giganteus, standing nearly 2 meters tall and weighing close to 80 kilograms. He has been running since the moment the dog appeared at the edge of the property, and he has been running in one specific direction since the very first stride. Not away from the dog in the instinctive straight-line flight of a panicked animal. On a line. A deliberate, consistent line that has been taking him steadily toward one thing since this began: the river. The dog does not know this yet. The dog is a large domestic animal, well-fed and fast, and it is reading this situation as a chase it is winning. The kangaroo is ahead but not disappearing. It is close. It is right there. Every time the dog gains a meter, the kangaroo seems to allow it, not pulling away fully, keeping the distance at 8 to 10 meters, staying visible. This reads to the dog as almost there, as a matter of time. This is exactly what the kangaroo needs the dog to think. The river is 20 meters ahead now. The dog is 8 meters behind. The kangaroo does not look back. It does not need to. It knows the dog is there. It knows the water is ahead. It has done this calculation already. Here is the physical reality that is about to matter. In water, every advantage the dog has brought to this chase evaporates. A kangaroo standing chest deep in a river has its full upper body free. Those arms, those claws, that 80-kilogram frame with its enormous muscular torso. A dog in the same water is paddling with all 4 legs just to keep its head above the surface. The dog's speed, which has been its only meaningful advantage for 4 minutes, is impossible to apply when you are not touching the ground. The kangaroo's strength, which it has been conserving, becomes fully available the moment it stops running and turns around. The kangaroo enters the river at speed, churning through the shallows in long, splashing strides, and keeps moving until the water reaches its chest. The river bottom is beneath its feet. Its tail drops into the water behind it, adding stability. Its arms are entirely above the waterline. It stops. It turns around. The dog enters the river at full speed. It is still committed to the chase. It has not registered yet that the chase just ended and something else has begun. The moment its legs leave the bottom, it understands. All 4 legs are working furiously just to hold its head up. It is paddling toward the kangaroo because that is the direction it was going, and it cannot stop going that direction because in water, stopping is also work. The kangaroo watches the dog paddle toward it. There is no alarm in the kangaroo's posture, no urgency. This animal has been here before, in this water, in this configuration. It knows exactly what happens next. The kangaroo reaches forward and places both forepaws on top of the dog's head. It pushes. The dog goes under. It comes back up, gasping, entirely disoriented. The water in its nose and throat, the current around it, and the thing it was chasing is still right in front of it and apparently not running anymore. The kangaroo does not retreat. It pushes again. The same measured downward pressure, the same absence of panic or frenzy. This is not a fight, this is leverage. The kangaroo has it, the dog does not. The dog tries to turn, the current works against it. The kangaroo is between it and the bank, which is the only thing the dog wants now. And when the dog paddles to the left to go around the kangaroo shifts left. When it paddles right, the kangaroo shifts right. The dog goes under a third time. The kangaroo holds it under for a moment longer than the second time before releasing it. This exchange continues for 38 seconds. The dynamic has not shifted, it has inverted entirely. Eventually the dog finds a gap, angles toward the bank, and hauls itself out. It stands on the bank, shaking, coughing, looking at the water. The kangaroo is standing chest deep in the river, 15 meters away, watching. The dog and the kangaroo look at each other for a moment. Then the dog turns and walks away. It does not run. Running is not available to it right now. The kangaroo wades to the far bank and moves away into the scrubland. It does not look back. The river returns to its normal surface within seconds of the kangaroo crossing it. Tomorrow morning there will be no trace of what happened here, except the dog's memory of it, which is a kind of trace that matters more than footprints anyway. The eastern gray kangaroo is not a species. There is a specific moment in this interaction that researchers who have studied kangaroo defensive behavior return to repeatedly, because it encapsulates something important about how the eastern gray kangaroo has survived on a continent full of things trying to kill it. The moment is the turn. The kangaroo entered the river and turned around. It did not keep going. It did not try to swim away. It stopped, in water deep enough to give it the mechanical advantage it needed, and it turned to face the threat. This is the opposite of the behavior most prey species display when cornered by water. The desperation of an animal that has run out of room. The kangaroo turned deliberately in the depth it had chosen and waited. That waiting posture, that choice to stop running at the moment when water gave it leverage, is what the whole 4-minute approach to the river was for. The dog saw a chase. The kangaroo was setting up a fight it could win. That developed this behavior as a curiosity. It developed it as a necessity. Dogs arrived in Australia as domestic animals brought by European settlers beginning in the late 18th century. But the dingo, genetically a dog, functionally a wild predator, has been hunting kangaroos in Australia for at least 4,000 years. 4,000 years is a long time for a prey species to learn something. The specific behavior of leading a pursuing canid toward water, of using the river as an equalizer, appears in enough documented observations across enough different locations and enough different individual kangaroos that researchers have stopped treating it as coincidence. It is a pattern. Whether it is transmitted through observation, young kangaroos watching older ones, learning from the experience of mob members who have been chased before, or whether 4,000 years of selection pressure has refined an instinct that was already present in some form, the result is the same. The dog learned a lesson today. The lesson cost it some dignity and approximately 38 seconds of real terror. The kangaroo paid nothing. It simply arrived at the river at the right moment and did what the river allows. The lesson the dog learned is the same lesson that every predator that has ever pushed an eastern gray kangaroo toward water eventually learns. The river is not neutral. The river belongs to whoever knows how to use it. Today, that was the kangaroo. Researchers studying this behavior in eastern gray kangaroos have documented it consistently enough to establish it as a pattern rather than an accident. The direction the kangaroo chose from the first stride of the chase was toward the water. The angle was not random. Whether this represents individual learning, social transmission within mobs, or instinct refined across generations of surviving dogs and dingoes in a landscape full of rivers, the functional result is identical in every case. The dog came to this encounter as a predator. The kangaroo came to it with a destination. The river is why the kangaroo is alive, and the river is why the dog will never make this particular mistake again. Chapter 2: The Pack and the Plains. There are 5 of them, and they have been running since before dawn. The dingo pack, Canis lupus dingo, does not hunt like a wolf pack hunts. Wolves have the advantage of prey that gets tired faster than they do. Prey that can be run into the ground given enough time and enough distance. Dingoes, hunting on the open plains of eastern Australia against eastern grey kangaroos, do not have that straightforward relationship. An adult eastern grey kangaroo at full speed reaches 65 kilometers per hour. It can sustain that for longer than any dingo pack alive. A straight pursuit across flat ground, kangaroo versus dingo in a test of speed and endurance, ends in one direction. The kangaroo disappears over the horizon and the dingoes stop running. So the dingoes do not run straight, they run angles. The target today is a young male eastern grey, 35 kilograms, separated from his mob during the confusion of a pre-dawn disturbance, when a vehicle passed too close to the group's sleeping area and everyone scattered in different directions in the dark. By the time the light came, he was a kilometer from anyone familiar, in open terrain with no cover, and the dingo pack had already found him. 2 animals press from directly behind. They maintain 8 to 12 meters, close enough that the kangaroo cannot stop and turn to fight, far enough that they are clear of his kick radius. 3 others move wide, 1 to the left, 2 angling ahead and to the right, cutting off the angles that would allow the kangaroo to circle back toward the mob's last known location. When the 2 behind begin to tire, and they will tire because even managed pursuit at this pace burns significant energy, 2 of the wide runners close in and take over the pressure role. The tired pair drops back, recovers at a trot, eats a little distance, and waits. Then they rotate back in. The kangaroo runs. The dingoes manage their resources. This is not fair. This was never designed to be fair. He has been running for 11 minutes when the first sign appears. A fraction of a second added to his landing phase. His forward lean changes by a degree or 2. His stride is still long, his jump still clearing 3 meters at the apex, but the landing is slightly heavier and the relaunch fractionally slower. The dingoes read this the way they have always read these signals, the way every generation of dingoes on these plains has read them across thousands of years. They tighten, not pressing harder, not rushing, just tightening, closing the formation by 2 or 3 meters, reducing the space he has to breathe. The kangaroo puts in a burst. He is still capable of this, still able to add 10 kilometers per hour for 60 seconds and open the gap back to 30 meters. He does it. It costs him more than it would have 15 minutes ago. The dingoes wait. They know what bursts cost. They run their steady pace and wait for the burst to end. And when it ends, the gap closes back to its previous distance, and the debt from the burst sits in the kangaroo's muscles like a weight he is now carrying everywhere he runs. At the 14-minute mark, the kangaroo stops. He has spotted a fallen eucalyptus trunk on the edge of a slight rise. Not much, half a meter of trunk, decayed, not solid, but it is something behind him. He reaches it, positions his back against it, drops his tail to the ground. His weight is distributed differently now. Tail as a third support, hind legs free, arms up. He is not running anymore. He is building a position. The dingoes circle. The lead animal, a large female, the most experienced of the 5, maintains 17 meters and watches. She has felt the aftermath of a kangaroo kick before, a glancing blow that left her limping for 2 weeks. She is in no hurry. She is watching the kangaroo's eyes, his arms, the position of his hind legs. She is looking for the moment when his attention is divided, when tracking 2 threats simultaneously produces a gap in his response to either one. The feint comes from the left, the lead female angling toward the kangaroo's left shoulder. The kangaroo tracks her. She is tracking him back, reading his eye movement, and the moment she sees his eyes shift fully left, she gives the signal. Nothing audible, just a posture change, and the second dingo charges from the right. The kangaroo pivots. The speed of the pivot is the thing the second dingo did not fully account for. He is faster turning than the dingo expected, significantly faster, and the kick that follows catches the charging dingo across the shoulder with enough force to send it rolling 3 meters through the dry grass. It comes up. It is limping on the front left. It is still functional, but it is not the animal it was 30 seconds ago. The lead female pulls back. The pack reassesses. One animal is impaired. The kangaroo is still standing at the log, still loaded, still watching all 5 of them simultaneously. The energy cost of continuing this engagement against a kangaroo that is clearly not going to cooperate by dying is now being weighed against what the pack might find in the next 2 hours if they move on. The lead female makes the calculation. She turns and walks away. The others follow. The kangaroo stays at the fallen tree for 19 minutes. He does not move until his breathing has returned close to normal, and the plains around him have been empty and quiet for long enough that his threat assessment resets. Then he begins to move, at a steady pace, in the direction where the mob was last night. He does not know if they are still there. He knows they might be. In this landscape, that possibility is enough to move toward. The eastern gray kangaroo at the fallen tree weighs 35 kilograms. There is something else worth understanding about what happened at the fallen tree today, something that goes beyond the immediate physical confrontation. When the dingo pack walked away, they carried information with them. They now know that this particular kangaroo, at this weight and in this condition, in this type of terrain with this type of limited cover, is capable of that pivot speed and that kick force. They may return to this individual, or they may not, but the encounter will shape how they approach similar situations. And the kangaroo, for his part, has now survived the full rotation strategy of a 5-animal dingo pack. He has felt the feint and charge pattern and responded to it correctly. He is a more dangerous animal to chase than he was this morning. The plains are full of these small updates, these tiny recalibrations, happening continuously between predator and prey. The arms race is not only evolutionary, it happens in real time, on these plains, in these encounters, between these specific animals. The young male will find his mob. He will graze with them tonight. He will be an animal that has survived a full 5 dingo rotation and knows something about how it works. The dingo pack will hunt again tomorrow. The young male will be more dangerous to hunt than he was yesterday. This is how the plains work. Every encounter leaves both parties slightly changed, slightly recalibrated, and the grassland holds all of this at once, without any opinion about the outcome. The dingo pack will hunt again before dark. Neither outcome cancels the other. Both are true at the same time, in the same landscape, under the same late afternoon sun. His kick, one of the most studied defensive weapons in Australian mammalian biology, delivers force measured in the hundreds of newtons in controlled laboratory conditions. In an uncontrolled field confrontation, the momentum added by body rotation, the leverage of the full tail-braced posture, and the explosive engagement of the gluteal musculature can produce significantly more. The dingo that took the kick to the shoulder today will feel it for weeks. A direct strike to the skull can be fatal. The dingoes know this in the way animals always know things that have cost their kind before. Not as knowledge, but as behavior, as the specific caution they apply when circling at 17 meters instead of 12, as the feint strategy that requires one animal to absorb the kangaroo's attention before the second commits to the charge. The mob, somewhere on the plains, is moving. The young male will find them, or he will not. But he is moving in the right direction, and he is moving under his own power, and neither of those things was certain 40 minutes ago. The plains are enormous and largely empty and entirely indifferent to which animals make it through them. He is making it through. Chapter 3. Shadow from Above. The eagles have been riding the same thermal for 3 hours. A mated pair of wedge-tailed eagles, Aquila audax, the largest birds of prey on the Australian continent, each with a wingspan approaching 2.5 meters, turning slow circles 300 meters above a mob of eastern gray kangaroos in the grassland below. They are not interested in the adults. Adults are too large, too dangerous, too energetically costly for what they return. They are watching one animal specifically, with the precision of predators who can resolve detail at distances that would be invisible to a human observer. The joey is 5 months out of the pouch. He is small enough to still be a viable target. Not easily, not without risk, but viable. He is also old enough to have developed the quality that makes young animals of every species vulnerable: curiosity. He has found a patch of good grass 7 meters from his mother, and he is eating it. And 7 meters feels to him like close enough. 7 meters is not close enough. Not with 2 wedge-tailed eagles in the sky. The mother has repositioned herself 4 times in the past hour to keep her body between the sun and her joey, to keep his silhouette in her shadow, to reduce the information the eagles can read from above. She nudges him back toward her every time he drifts. She has not stopped watching the sky for 3 hours. She is doing everything available to her, and she is still 1 moment of bad timing away from losing him. The first eagle commits. It does not come straight down. It comes in at an angle, low, fast, partially folded, using its speed and the angle of approach to make its trajectory difficult to read from the ground. The target is the space between the joey and his mother. A feint, not a kill strike. If it works, the mother goes one direction and the joey goes another, and the second eagle, which is already repositioning, has a clean approach to a separated, panicking joey with no protection. The mother hears the rush of displaced air, that specific sound, the signature of large wings partially folded and descending fast, and she spins. She is faster than the eagle anticipated. Her arms come out. The eagle reads the position and pulls out of the stoop 3 meters from her face, its wingtip brushing the grass as it banks and climbs. It did not touch her. It did not need to. The feint was not about contact. The feint was about the joey. The joey froze. It is a natural first response to sudden, overwhelming threat. Stop moving, stop presenting information, become as small and still as possible. This is useful in some contexts. In open grassland with 2 eagles overhead and no cover within 30 meters, it is the wrong response. A frozen joey is a stationary target with coordinates the second eagle is already using. The second eagle is 15 meters out and descending when the mother launches. 2 hops, 7 meters, 1 second. She arrives exactly 1 second before the eagle does and takes the strike on her back. Talons across thick hide, real pain, real damage, nothing fatal. The eagle's momentum carries it forward past her. She closes her arms around her joey and holds him against her body. He is beneath her. He is covered. She is facing the eagle as it climbs. Both eagles circle. 20 minutes of circles. The mother rotates continuously, keeping herself positioned between the circling shapes and her joey. One eye tracking each bird, never letting either one get behind her at the same time. She does not feed. She does not rest. She watches. The eagles drift north in the end. Another thermal. Another mob somewhere over the ridge. Another calculation. The grassland is quiet again. The joey trembles against his mother's side, too young to understand what he was inside of, old enough to have felt it. She nudges him once with her muzzle and goes back to grazing. The mob relaxes around her. Postures ease, heads come down. The ordinary life of the grassland resumes. But the mother does not allow more than a body length between herself and her joey for the rest of the afternoon. She will not allow it tomorrow either, or the day after. The eagles will come back. They always come back. She will still be here. So will he. The wedge-tailed eagle is the apex aerial predator. What the joey experienced today, pressed against his mother's side, while 2 wedge-tailed eagles circled overhead for 20 minutes, was a kind of learning that will not leave him. Not conceptual learning. He has no framework for what an eagle is, or what today represented in any narrative sense. But physical learning, the specific sound of large wings descending, The particular shadow pattern of a bird with a 2.5-meter wingspan banking in a tight turn. The way the mob's behavior changes when this particular threat appears in the sky. These signals are now part of his experience in a way they were not this morning. He will read them faster next time. He will need less repetition to understand what they mean. The mother provided this learning with her body, at some cost to herself, and that is also what mothers in this mob have always done, and what their mothers did before them, in grasslands like this one, under skies like this one, with the same shapes turning in the thermals above. The grassland in the evening is everything the grassland in the morning was. Golden, open, ordinary seeming. The scratch marks on the mother's back will be gone in a week. The Joey will not remember today in any narrative sense, but he will stay closer to his mother tomorrow morning, and the morning after, and the morning after that, and she will be there every time, between him and everything above. This is what the grassland looks like from inside it, from the perspective of the animals who live in it every day. It looks like this. The eagles are somewhere else now. The mob is grazing. The Joey is close to his mother and does not know why he wants to be close to her. He just does. He will tomorrow morning too. The most of the Australian continent, and it is not a predator that commits to inefficient attacks. A pair hunting cooperatively, the mated pair strategy, where one bird feints and one bird strikes, exploiting the split-second gap in the prey's defensive attention, represents the most sophisticated aerial hunting technique deployed by any Australian raptor. The success rate against isolated joeys in open grassland is significant. Against a mother who has not taken her eyes off the sky for 3 hours, and who demonstrated the reaction time to cover 7 meters in 2 hops on a second's warning, the calculation today came out in the kangaroo's favor by the narrowest margin. The talons that raked across her back will leave marks that will be visible for a month. She did not flinch. She did not break contact with her joey. She held her position with 2 wedge-tailed eagles circling above her for 20 minutes and did not allow a single additional degree of separation between herself and her young. The grassland in the afternoon is peaceful and golden and completely ordinary looking. What happened in it this morning is invisible in that peace. But the joey, pressed against his mother's side all afternoon, is proof of it. Chapter 4: The Water's Edge. The dry season has lasted 4 months, and the geography of survival has contracted. In the river country of northern Australia, where the tropical wet season fills every depression and hollow with water from November through April, the dry season reverses everything. The floodplains crack, the channels narrow. What was a continuous ribbon of water becomes isolated pools separated by cracked gray mud and exposed rock. The animals that need water, which is all of them, begin concentrating at these pools in numbers that would not form naturally in better conditions. And the saltwater crocodile, which has been here since before any of these animals' lineages existed, concentrates with them. Crocodilus porosus has lived essentially unchanged for 80 million years. The body that is lying in this pool right now, this particular animal, is nearly 4 meters long and perhaps 30 years old. Middle-aged by the standards of a species that can reach 7 meters and live past 100. It has been in this same position for 2 hours and 47 minutes. This is not patience in the way mammals experience patience, with the effort of waiting, the awareness of time passing. A crocodile in motionless ambush is simply at rest. Its metabolic rate is lower than almost any other vertebrate its size. It can hold this position for days if necessary. The wait is its default state. An antilopine kangaroo, Macropus antilopinus, approaches the pool from the north. He is one of the largest kangaroos in Australia, built differently from the eastern grey. Longer legs, lighter frame, adapted for the open savanna woodlands of tropical Queensland and the Northern Territory. He weighs 70 kilograms. He has been to this pool before, in better conditions and in these conditions, and he approaches it the way an experienced animal approaches familiar risk. Carefully, with pauses, reading the surface before every forward step. He stops 4 meters from the water's edge. There are 2 points just above the waterline that did not change their relationship to each other or to the water surface while he watched. They are too symmetrical to be debris, too smooth. He has seen rocks that look like this before, and he has seen what those rocks turned out to be. He reads the water for asymmetry, the faint displacement pattern of something holding itself still against the natural movement of water. The difference between objects at rest in water and an object maintaining a position against current. He is reading it correctly. Something in that water is choosing to be still. The crocodile does not move. It does not alter its position by a millimeter. Its eyes are the 2 points above the waterline, and they are tracking the kangaroo with the full attention of an ambush predator whose entire evolutionary strategy depends on the capacity to be perfectly, absolutely, convincingly still. It has been still for 2 hours and 47 minutes. Another 2 minutes is nothing. 30 seconds at 4 meters. The kangaroo reads the surface one more time. Then he moves laterally along the bank, 12 meters to the left. The bank here is steeper and the bottom murkier, the entry angle less comfortable, but the surface shows nothing that concerns him. He drops his head to the water and drinks. Head down, eyes at the waterline, the most exposed position any large mammal can occupy in crocodile country, for 90 full seconds. The crocodile does not strike. It is 12 meters from the kangaroo's drinking point, and 12 meters requires a course correction that would disturb the water above it. And disturbing the water above it removes the element of surprise that is the only weapon a crocodile has in open water. A failed strike here, in this pool, in this dry season, with this kangaroo and every other animal in the area watching and learning, the cost of that failure exceeds the potential gain. The crocodile calculates this without conscious deliberation, as it has always calculated it, and it does not move. The kangaroo finishes drinking. He raises his head, reads the surface once more, and moves back up the steep bank into the tree line at a careful walk. He does not run. Running on the crumbling edge of a dry season bank is its own kind of risk. He moves with the deliberate care of an animal that has learned to be exactly as cautious as the situation requires, not more and not less. The crocodile surfaces. It drifts slowly to the position where the kangaroo drank, reads the bank, the scent, the disturbance in the water. It turns back toward the center of the pool. The dry season has 3 more months. The kangaroo needs water every day. Every day the geometry of the approach might be slightly different. The angle, the light, the exact position of the drinking point relative to where the crocodile has chosen to wait. The crocodile settles back below the surface and becomes, once again, 2 points just above the waterline that look, if you are not reading them carefully, like they might be rocks. The saltwater crocodile has been the apex aquatic predator. What the kangaroo at the waterhole demonstrated today is something that appears across multiple large marsupial species in northern Australia. An active, specific awareness of crocodile indicators that goes well beyond simple avoidance of water. Animals that simply avoid water do not survive dry seasons. Animals that can read a waterhole, that can distinguish the geometry of a wading crocodile from the geometry of rocks, that know which entry angles place them outside efficient strike range, that understand when to approach and when to wait, and when to move laterally along the bank, those animals drink and survive. The antilopine kangaroo is not unique in this, but he is, today, a specific living example of what accurate reading of a specific waterhole in a specific dry season looks like when it works. He will return tomorrow. The crocodile will be there. The geometry will be slightly different depending on where each animal has positioned itself in the intervening hours. The kangaroo will read it again. He has done this before. He will do it again. The dry season does not end, and the thirst does not end, and the crocodile does not go anywhere, and the kangaroo keeps reading the waterhole correctly. This is what living looks like here, not as triumph or as luck, but as accuracy. Reading the surface correctly every day, at every waterhole, across every dry season, until the rains come. Of northern Australia for longer than kangaroos have existed as a genus. It has hunted marsupials at waterholes through multiple ice ages, through climate shifts that rewrote the continent's water systems, through the megafauna extinctions that removed most of the other large mammals that used to come to drink at these pools. The crocodile is still here. The strategy it used today, perfect stillness, geometry assessment, refusal to commit to a strike that does not meet minimum conditions for success, is the same strategy it used 60 million years ago. It has not needed to change. The kangaroo that read the waterhole correctly today, that identified the asymmetry of 2 points above the waterline and moved laterally to a position the crocodile could not efficiently reach, that kangaroo carried forward the accumulated learning of its lineage, learned across many generations, in many waterholes, in many dry seasons, into one decision at 4 meters from the water's edge. It was the right decision. The crocodile will be here tomorrow. So will the kangaroo. The dry season has 3 months to run. The geometry will keep changing. Both animals will keep reading it. Chapter 5. The Hidden Hunter. The joey is 7 months out of the pouch, and he does not yet fully understand what it means when the world goes quiet. He has moved 30 meters from his mother this morning, the furthest he has ranged since he left the pouch. He was drawn by a patch of fresh green growth at the edge of a stand of eucalyptus, the kind of growth that appears in the weeks after rain, vivid and bright at the base of the gray trunks, exactly the quality of food that young kangaroos learn to seek out. His mother is grazing with a mob 20 meters behind him. The mob is close. He is close. He has done nothing his instincts have told him not to do. The red fox, Vulpes vulpes, introduced to southeastern Australia in the 1850s for recreational hunting, and now one of the most ecologically damaging invasive species the continent has encountered, has been in the eucalyptus stand for 17 minutes. She arrived before the joey moved to this patch. She has been watching him since he arrived, doing what foxes do before they commit, reading the full situation before making any move that might foreclose options. Distance to the joey, 12 meters at current position. Wind direction, from the mob toward the tree line, which means her scent is being carried away from the kangaroos, and she is receiving theirs. Nearest alert adult in the mob, the joey's mother, currently facing away and feeding. Gap between the joey and his mother, 30 meters. The fox weighs 6 kilograms. The joey weighs 9. In 3 to 4 weeks, the joey will weigh 12 or 13 kilograms, and the fox will no longer be strong enough to take him. Right now, at 9 kilograms, he is at the outer edge of her viable prey range. This is the window. The window is narrow. The window is now. She does not rush. Rushing is what foxes do when hunger overrides calculation. She is not that hungry. She moves through the eucalyptus stand in parallel to the joey's position, using the trunks as cover, reducing her profile and the sound of her movement with each step. Her paws land on the available soft soil between the leaf litter, placed with the precision of an animal that has learned exactly how loud a eucalyptus leaf is, and exactly how far that sound carries on a still morning. She has closed to 12 meters when the joey raises his head. He has not seen her. He has noticed the silence. The small honey eaters that should be moving through the lower branches of the eucalyptus stand are not moving. The grasshoppers that should be active at this temperature are not active. Both of these things stopped being true approximately 4 minutes ago, and some part of the joey's processing has been tracking the change without surfacing it until now. His ears rotate, first one, then both, sampling independently and then together. His nose reads the air. He is 7 months out of the pouch, and this specific configuration of absent sounds has never assembled itself in front of him before. He does not know what it means. He knows it means something. The fox freezes. She is motionless behind a trunk, her body in contact with the bark, one eye on the joey. She is reading him as carefully as he is reading the silence, and she is doing it with the advantage of experience. She knows what the ear rotation means. She knows what the single repositioning step of his hind feet means when it follows the ear rotation. She is calculating. If he commits to flight in the next 2 seconds, she has 12 meters and she will not close that gap. If he stays still for 4 more seconds to confirm the threat, she can cover 6 more meters and the gap at launch will be 6 meters, not 12. She needs him to stay still for 4 seconds. He stays still for 6. The fox breaks from the tree line the moment his second hind foot finishes repositioning, the specific movement that precedes the first hop, the last moment before the program launches. She is at full sprint before she has fully cleared the trunk. She is fast. She is accurate. She has the angle. The joey is already in the air, not away from the fox, not to the side, not in the direction that would carry him deeper into the open grassland and further from any help, directly toward his mother. The pathway to his mother is the pathway his nervous system identified and transmitted in the fraction of a second between sensing the fox's movement and his first hop leaving the ground. This is not a decision. It is a program written across millions of years of every predator that has ever hunted kangaroos in Australian grassland, shaping a neural response that does not require conscious input to execute perfectly the first time it is needed. His mother heard the first sound of his flight and was already moving. She does not know yet what is behind him. She knows he is running toward her, which means something is wrong, which means she needs to be where he is going. They meet in the grassland between his starting position and the mob. He presses against her side. She turns and faces the direction he came from. The fox stands at the grass edge. She watches the joey against his mother's side for 3 seconds, reads the closed distance between them, reads the mother's posture, reads the mob now oriented toward the disturbance. The arithmetic of this particular moment does not balance in her favor. She turns and walks back into the eucalyptus stand. She does not run. She is not hurt. She is not distressed. She is simply done with this calculation for today and beginning the next one. There are other mornings. There are other joeys at other distances. The window that opened this morning will open again in different dimensions on a different day, and she will be there when it does. She always is. The joey stays within a body length of his mother for the rest of the day. Something in his calibration has shifted, some threshold, some signal frequency that he could not articulate, but that will shape how far he drifts tomorrow morning when the fresh grass appears at the edge of the next tree line. He will stay closer. He will not know why. The fox has given him the exact shape of the specific danger that lives in quiet eucalyptus stands on still mornings, and she gave it to him without collecting the price it usually costs. He received it free. He will carry it the rest of his life. The red fox has been in Australia. There is a version of this story in which the joey does not make it 30 meters back to his mother, in which the fox's angle is slightly better, or the wind shifts at the wrong moment, carrying her scent toward the mob and causing exactly the disturbance that separates the joey from his path back. Or the joey freezes for 8 seconds instead of 6, and the fox covers 2 more meters before he moves. These versions of the story happen too. They happen to joeys who are slightly further from the mob, or slightly slower, or who drift to patches of fresh grass on mornings when the wind is in the wrong direction, and the fox has had 3 days to learn the mob's pattern. Today was not that version. Today, every variable landed fractionally in the joey's favor. He will not always be this lucky, but today he was. She is already reading the next morning, the next distance, the next wind direction. She is patient in a way that requires no effort because it is simply how she is built. And that patience is the thing that makes the eucalyptus stands dangerous every morning, not just this one. The eucalyptus stand is quiet when she leaves it. The joey is grazing close to his mother. Both of these things are true at the same moment, in the same grassland, and neither one cancels the other out. Australia holds them both simultaneously. It has always held them both. And the fox, who is patient, will be back. For approximately 170 years. In that time, it has driven multiple small marsupial species to extinction and contributed to the decline of dozens more. It is extraordinarily successful on this continent because it is a generalist predator of exceptional adaptability. Because it arrived without the specific suite of predators that constrain fox populations in its native range. And because the native prey it encounters here, species that evolved under pressure from dingoes and wedge-tailed eagles and pythons and crocodiles, but not foxes, have not yet fully calibrated to its specific hunting signature. The joey who read the silence at the tree line this morning is alive not because his species has fully adapted to foxes, but because his individual nervous system processed an incomplete signal correctly, and his instinct to run toward his mother was faster than the fox's sprint over 12 meters. The fox will come back. She will find another morning, another joey, another window. The mob will be somewhere in the grassland. The eucalyptus stands will be at the edges. The fresh grass will be where it always is, drawing the curious ones away from the group by exactly the distance that makes them vulnerable. This is Australia. The predator is patient. The margin is always thin. And the joey who runs toward his mother without knowing why is the reason the species is still here to run. Australia does not produce easy survival. It produces survival that is earned, specifically, repeatedly, by animals that have learned the precise geography of every threat in their environment, where it comes from, how it moves, what window of opportunity it needs, and how small that window can be made. The kangaroo that ran toward the river instead of away from the dog, the young male who stopped running and built a position at the fallen tree and held it, the mother in the grassland who arrived 1 second before the eagle and put her body between her joey and everything above. The big antilopine male who read 2 points above the waterline correctly and moved 12 meters left to a place the geometry could not reach. The joey who ran toward his mother before he understood what was behind him. 5 moments, 5 calculations, 5 animals who found the answer under pressure in the specific landscape of their specific threat. This is what survival looks like in Australia. It looks like this, every single day, everywhere you look, if you know how to look. The next time you see a kangaroo moving across open country, consider what it has already read in the landscape around it that you have not. This continent built an animal that fights back in the water, that builds a defensive position on the plains, that puts its body between the sky and its young, that reads a waterhole at 4 meters and makes the right call, and that runs toward its mother before it understands why. That animal is still here. These 5 moments show you exactly how. The kangaroo is not the fastest animal in Australia, not the strongest, not the most heavily armored. It is the most adaptable. The animal that has found a different answer to every different threat the continent has produced across the time it has been here. The river, the fallen tree, the open grassland with eagles overhead, the shrinking waterhole in the dry season, the eucalyptus stand on a still morning. 5 threats, 5 answers, all of them correct, all of them earned. The kangaroo is the animal that Australia built to survive everything it threw at it. 5 stories will show you exactly how.